Morning everybody, welcome back. I know I promised we were going to plant some soybeans today. It's not going to happen. Yeah, I'm pretty tore up about it too. We've got an absolutely beautiful day, probably the most beautiful day we've had in a week and a half. Sunny, it's warmed up quickly. It's supposed to be high 70 degrees today. No wind, clear skies. I mean, it doesn't get any more perfect than this in April to plant some soybeans. But check the forecast this morning, and National Weather Service has changed. You know, we knew it was going to get cold for the next few days, cloudy and everything. But the soils are dry. Wasn't concerned about it. Well, now they've introduced an 80% chance of rain for tonight, up to a 1/4 inch. Now you put that on top of the cold weather, it's not looking good. Beans might do okay, but there's a good chance that they wouldn't. In fact, I'm a little concerned about the corn we planted today because it hasn't been in the ground long enough. It hasn't imbibed all this water. So there's a chance that corn that we planted yesterday could have a chilling injury on it. The first 24 hours on soybeans and the first 36 to 48 hours on corn are absolutely the most critical part of the seed germination process. That's when it's actually imbibing or absorbing water from the soil, and the temperature of that water is very critical. Anything below 50 degrees can cause pretty severe injury to both the corn seed or the soybean seed. And well, the corn, by the time it rains tonight, will be in the ground about 24 hours. It's already imbibed some water, but it hadn't imbibed enough water. And then the soybeans, going into the ground today just wouldn't have enough time. So this rain that comes through is being followed by a pretty dang strong cold front, and the rain is likely to be cold, so we could get really significant chilling injury on the seed. We're gonna park the planter for today at least, see what the rain does. Now, if the system comes through and we don't get any rain out of it, might look at going back tomorrow. Or if we do get some rain, that ground's going to be cold. There's probably a good chance we're not going to plant any at all this week. Temperature's supposed to start rising up again this weekend, but there's a 70% chance of rain Friday night. You know, we could get back into a rainy, wet pattern again, so I'm not exactly sure when we're going to get these beans planted. But anyway, we got all of our soybean plates and everything. So we're going to get over here to the field. We're going to go ahead and get the planter changed over to plant soybeans. We're going to go ahead and fill it up with soybeans. So when it's go time, all we got to do is get in the tractor, turn the key, and go. All right, the first thing we got to do in changing over the meters, got to take the boxes off, got to unclip it, take off the wiring harness going to the precision planting, and then pull off the vacuum hose. The unit comes off just like that. Right here is the meter on the bottom of the hopper. Then we got to change the seed plates out in the meter. Unclip it. Comes off just like that. That right there is the seed plate I'm talking about. This one's got, I think, 36 holes. That's what we use for corn and cotton. You take that little clip off there in the center. The plate pops off. And then that's what we replace it with. That's the soybean plate, and you can see it's got a whole lot more holes in it because we're putting out a lot higher population with soybeans. And then we'll put that back in the meter, put it all back together, put it back on the planter. I got all the plates changed out and everything. Ready to, guess we're gonna fill up a seed, then we're gonna lift it up and service it, and that'll be about all we can do to it. We got everything on the planters ready to go. All we got to do, I think, is just hop in the planter, turn the key on, and go to the field whenever I feel like it's time to plant again. It's absolutely killing me not planting today, because we got an absolutely beautiful day out here, light breeze, warm. We actually broke a little bit of a sweat working on the planter. I really hate we're not putting some beans in the ground today, but it's actually snowing right now up around central Missouri, and that weather is headed this way, so putting some beans in the ground today would not be the smart thing to do. We're gonna head on back to the office. We got all of our corn planting data downloaded off the monitor. We're gonna go ahead and get it uploaded on the software and take a look at some of the metrics that those smart farmers measured as we went across the field and seeing what all that looks like on the map. Apparently I'm not the only one decided not to plant today. They were planting right beside me last night and they got them parked again today. Well, after thinking hours on end and changing my time multiple times, and I mean like hundreds of times, I decided we're gonna go plant some beans today. It's not an exact science if the soybeans are going to come up, but just based on the weather forecast, I think planting beans today would not be the wrong decision. Notice I didn't say it was the right decision. I said I didn't think it was going to be the wrong decision. So we're going to head to the field and try it out. This morning we're over here on the Clanton Farm. It's actually where we finished planting up corn on Monday. You see the burn down starting to work. This is a 180 acre farm. We got the front half of it planted in corn. We got 20 acres of wheat, and then the back bottoms that's too wet to plant wheat on is where we're going to start out planting our full season soybeans. So if you look at the ground, I mean, it is dry. I can't remember the last time I seen it this dry in April. It sure as heck doesn't look like that we just got a quarter-inch of rain two nights ago. So we got some outstanding planting conditions. Even if it's cold, the soil conditions are absolutely perfect. And that's one of the driving factors on me deciding to go ahead and plant. It got down about 34 degrees last night, so we're gonna have a cold start on this thing this morning. Come on, baby. Oh yeah. Not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous. This is gonna be the first time that we get to try out the Delta Force that we put on the front units this winter. Keep my fingers crossed we got everything set up on it properly and don't have any problems with it today.
All right, we're back at it again. We got all the corn in the ground. It's all getting started and ready to go. Now we're firing up on soybeans. Still don't have any cover crops worth rolling. It's kind of only a two-person job right now, so me and Kelly have swapped out. I'm gonna run the sprayer, spraying this burn down on this 165 acres we've got. And when we get into cotton, we'll definitely have cover crops situated enough to justify running the crimper. So I just got filled up 67 acres worth of spraying, having to spray behind Matt for the chemicals that we're putting out for them to activate. It's better for them to be sprayed behind the planter.
My rationale behind planting today, originally I wasn't going to plant until Monday. That's what I had decided yesterday. I was not going to plant until Monday. You know, originally we were going to get started planting soybeans this past Tuesday. And then if you remember, NOAA brought in a pretty good chance of rain Tuesday night into Wednesday, along with some really cold temperatures. We already knew about the cold temperatures that was coming in. We didn't know about the rain. So we were going to plant into dry soils that were going to then cool down, which would have probably been okay. Then when NOAA added in the chance of rain, we decided we're not going to plant. We don't want to plant in cool soils and then have the seed get shocked with cold temperatures. So we held off planting. Anyway, I was out here yesterday on Wednesday, just checking fields, checking temperature about 1 o'clock, even though the air temperature was 50 degrees outside. It was pretty dang cold. It was a cold ride over here. The soil temperature was around 60 degrees. So that kind of got me thinking. But I decided, I'm like, we got rain coming in Friday night into Saturday. Got really warm conditions coming in next week. I'm gonna wait till Monday. That's what I'm gonna do. Anyway, this morning checking the weather showed that they pushed the rain off until Saturday, and they're only forecasting between a ½ inch and an inch of rain. Not a real big deal. It's not going to be a heavy pounding rain, according to them. So I kept on thinking, well, we're going to wait until Monday. Then looking a little bit farther out on the forecast, next Wednesday they're calling for 70 to 80% chance of rain and thunderstorms. And say thunderstorms, that could potentially be some real hard pounding rain. So I got thinking, we're going to get some light rain, maybe up to an inch, late Friday night into Saturday. We could potentially get a hard pounding rain next Wednesday. You know, and who knows what it could be. It could be an inch, it could be 2 inches, it could be 3 inches, it could be more. You just don't never know this time of year. So I got thinking, well, with the warm air, with the warm soil temperatures we had yesterday, and it's only going to go up. You know, it's not going to get any colder because the cold weather is pretty much moved out. We got light rain coming Friday night into Saturday, and then we're going to have 3 sunny, warm days after that, followed by another rain. I thought it's just going to be better if we go ahead and get the seed in the ground today. We'll get some lighter rain on it. That's not going to pack it into the ground. And then we're going to have some really warm conditions following that. I thought that's going to give me the best chance of getting my beans up to a good stand. But you got to remember, we are talking about soybeans. Sometimes it seems like soybeans look for any excuse not to come up. So who knows? We're rolling the dice. We might have been better off just taking this money and going to Tunica with it and gambling at the blackjack tables. I don't know. All right, here we go. All right, we planted a little strip. Let's check our depth and see what it looks like. You want to make any bets on whether I got it right the first time or not? It would surprise me if I did. All right, on soybeans, we're looking for about an inch deep. We found our first one there. That's my first knuckle, so it's right at an inch deep. All right, we checked one of the back units. Now we need to check one of the front units. Those tend to be set a little bit differently than the back units just because the way the toolbar tilts a little bit. Well, there's one right there. That's probably about 3/4 of an inch. Yeah, but then we see a couple on top of the ground here. Like right there and right there. Probably need to set those just a hair deeper. All right, let's try this again. All right, planted about another 100 feet. After adjusting the depth a little bit lower on the front units, the back units are just fine. So there's one, 2, there's 3. All about the same consistent depth. Around to my first knuckle, so yeah, they're about an inch deep. I'd say it's set right where it needs to be. And yes, I know y'all are wondering, my finger is considered an improved unit of measure. My first knuckle represents about 1 inch. My second knuckle represents 2 inches. I do think we got it set good and we are ready to go. If you look there, our soil temperature is hovering right there around 50 degrees, but this is as cold as the soil is going to be. It's only going to go up from here and it should quickly rise today. I feel pretty confident putting these beans in the ground. All right, well, we seem to be running really good now after just a couple little minor snafus. I didn't have all the load cells on my downforce zeroed out. My fault, supposed to do that every day when you start up. And then I didn't have my swath control plan set up right. I've got those things worked out, man. This thing is planting like a dream. Soil temperature is rising on up another couple degrees, so it's going on up pretty good. The Delta Force is working great. All the units are responding and controlling. Don't pay too much attention to this graph right here. Whenever we switch to soybeans, the precision metering is not as near as precise as what it is in corn, because you got 80 holes in a disc versus 37 holes in a disc. You know, it's just putting out a lot more seed, and we're only talking about a 2,000 population here between the bottom of the graph and the top of the graph. But what we're planting today is Pioneer 48 A60X. We're planting a population of 140,000. I'd like to try and plant it a little bit less just to save some money on seed. But again, sometimes soybeans look for any reason that they can not to come up. So we're applying it a little bit heavier. We got a full fungicide seed treatment on here, whereas normally we don't like to put a fungicide seed treatment unless we absolutely have to, just to try to benefit the soil health and everything as much as we can. But with the cool planting conditions, we're going ahead and putting out a fungicide on this seed. But these 48 A60s are 4.8 maturity soybean. And today is April 22nd. We are in what I would consider the ideal time to plant late group 4 maturity beans. Some years we struggle to get them planted as early as we want to, but whereas corn is dependent on GDUs, which would be growing degree units, to determine how quickly the corn plant matures, soybeans are driven primarily by the amount of sunlight they get, the length of the day. You want to time your maturity group up to start blooming, to setting pods, roughly a week or so before the longest day of the year, which is June 21st. So the way the soybean plant grows is it will grow vegetatively until the length of the day signals that it's time to go into reproductive mode. So the earlier you can get your beans planted, it gives it that much longer to grow vegetatively, to set more nodes, whereas that is where the pods are sitting. So the more nodes you have, the more fruiting positions you can have on a soybean plant. For our location, about the 3rd week of April, April 20th to April 28th or so is really the ideal time, if the weather conditions are right, to plant 4.8 maturity beans, because it gives them enough time to set plenty of nodes to grow vegetatively before it goes into reproductive mode. In my opinion, the number one key to high yielding soybeans is getting them planted early enough to where they can maximize the amount of sunlight that they can receive throughout the year.